Hello everyone, welcome to the Social Club. We are live, we are taking your comments. You can interact with the show by using the comments box alongside on YouTube. We're going to kick off. We've got Ste and we've got Ped joining me, Paul Machin, and we are going to talk about the NLD, which by the way, when was NLD a thing? You know, they're not...
I'm too old.
North London derby.
Okay, sorry.
Where does this sit in the biggest games in the Premier League? Because I'm mega biased about where these...
I don't think it sits.
Doesn't sit anywhere.
Maybe top 5. Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea,
United City.
United. No, maybe.
The biggest game the Premier League's ever watched was 6 years ago, and it was a Manchester derby.
Well, the biggest home attendance for a football match just happened.
Biggest game
the
ever
North
in the
London
Premier League
derby.
was Everton versus Man City when we both had Chinese players.
So, I mean, the question's got to be, and if you're watching at home, we want to know your answers to this. We'll get through a few. We've got Ross on social, we'll be reading some out in a second. Has the balance of power shifted? I mean, that's what everyone seems to be mad about, and we're a bit removed from this, of course, geographically as much as anything else.
We don't get Nike adverts.
Yeah, the balance of power, and I think Spurs have been kind of saying it has, and then Arsenal pegged them back a little bit.
Spurs have got to win something.
Yeah, you got two teams arguing about who can win the least between them. It's like, there's no argument here. You've got to win something. Even like people, the question is why they're talking about one in London but not Manchester. They are talking about one in Manchester. Yeah. I think it's going to take City a long time of dominance to be able to say that the power has shifted. Yeah. They're definitely ahead of us right now in terms of just playing ability, but they've not put us in a shadow. Liverpool, Tottenham and Arsenal. They're arguing about who doesn't win the league.
Just out of it, the question came from 1640 1199 succinct.
Bot?
Yeah, absolutely.
Russian bot there, trying to stir up the...
Who says, why is the talk of a power shift in North London but not in Manchester, which we will address a little bit more in a second. But yeah, it does feel a little bit like, I mean, Chelsea are in danger of stepping into the breach between these two clubs at the moment, aren't they? Obviously, we know they play tonight, so we can't make too many assumptions around that. But it felt a little bit like for a spell of this season, like Arsenal and Spurs are going to banter each other into the Europa League. You know, they're going to be doing this, we're above you, ha ha ha, we're better than you, ha ha, no, we're above you, no, we're both in the Europa League next season, great. Can we split it? Can we split some airfare as we travel over to the
pull your miles
farthest flung
over to
reaches of Eastern
and
Europe?
back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, at this point though, Arsenal 7 points behind Spurs in the Premier League, 9 points behind Liverpool. Again, let's not delve into too much of the Chelsea stuff because we don't know whether they get a win or not. But Arsenal's 8th defeat of the season, worst defensive record of all the teams in the top 7. That's the thing, Pet.
Europa League still to come back for them.
They conned themselves into thinking a win against Everton was actually a big thing.
But it was a big win.
It wasn't. It was against Everton.
No, I mean, like, just numerically, it was a big win.
Yes.
But here's the thing, you know, you had...
They did get excited about that.
They did get very excited.
Jake Humphries asking Arsene Wenger pre-match about his, the transfer policy, and look, rightly so, said this last week, rightly so, be excited about Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan, but the feedback I was getting from Arsenal fans was, what about the defence?
What about the defence?
And that's, look, losing 1-0 to Harry Kane, a great header like Harry Kane put in, is not indicative of Arsenal having a terrible defence or what have you. In a game where, Petr Cech, who's been getting criticised, is the reason why that game wasn't a lot worse than it was.
It's indicative of having an unbalanced side, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's if you don't have a good defence, then you can't necessarily throw...
It's not just defence. When was the last time you went, wow, Arsenal dominated that midfield today?
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that you watch a Liverpool game and you go, wow, look at their front three, but look how terrible their defence is. But there's at least you can see where the problems are there. One end's doing its job, one end's not. With Arsenal, I don't feel like the attack's good enough to supplement how poor the defence is.
Goal scoring wise though in the league, it's not a massive goal scoring is comparable to all the other teams at the top end.
But
of the
I think,
league. But it's the defence. I think they've conceded. Liverpool have got the next worst defence after them, but there's like a 5 goal difference that is between the two teams.
But in terms
of
goals
is a lot of.
In terms of the rest of the league, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because it is a 6-team league as such. Everyone else is.
It's essentially in a relegation.
It is a pain to say, but it is. I mean, we could finish 7th and get a European place, and we have been absolutely terrible. So that shows you how bad the Premier League is.
Half the league is in a relegation battle.
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Seriously. So they will score goals against poor sides, but the problems are there. They haven't balanced their side out, and they won't.
I think it's a good chance.
Let's not use this as for example of having a laugh at who's not won things or whatever.
No,
because
it's not.
because in that world, in North London, same way as it matters in Manchester, same way as it matters in Liverpool. It's important of the local rivals of which team is in the ascendancy, and I think the balance of power shifted to Spurs a couple of seasons ago. From
I think it did, but don't then turn that into this is the biggest derby in the Premier League, and we are jostling for 1 or 2. The Manchester derby is the biggest one at the moment because they are jostling. Well, they're not actually jostling.
No, this year.
One's
been jostled.
One's been jostled, and that's it. So leave it where it is. It's a big game for those teams involved. But that's all it is.
So, I want to know. Tell me in the comments. Where does it?
Speak to these guys. Speak to these guys right here, both of you.
Rank them. What's the biggest games in English football? Rank them. English football.
And tell them who's the club in the ascendancy. Is it Spurs?
But it's Spurs. Spurs are the top
ascendancy.
dogs at the moment. Everything's going their way. Arsenal are going to have to start looking at replacing Arsene Wenger. Well, 4 years ago they should be looking to replace Arsene Wenger. So in terms of stability, everything's in Tottenham's court. They're getting a new stadium. They've got Harry Kane. Dele Alli looks good in some videos. Whereas Arsenal at the moment, you look at them and think they're just about to hit or are hitting a period of, let's say, turbulence.
Yeah. They've also got Europa League to come, which is a mare. They're going to have to deal with all the stuff.
You make that as hard as you want to make it, don't you? It's like, listen, they could go into the.
But what if they slip even further?
I don't think they can. I don't think it's
let's just play possible. Let's play this game.
Look,
what if they do?
The top six is the top six.
I'm not being disrespectful to Arsenal. I'm just saying it the way it is. They are in a period now of transition because they're going to have to sort out. No matter whether you like it or not, Arsene Wenger's not going to be there forever. They're in a period now.
He might.
He might.
It'll be like a weekend of Bernie style situation eventually.
He's on the elixir.
Steve Bold behind him, just
Per
moving his limbs.
Mertesacker is just carrying a transition. And I think that... Listen, I get... And I hate them. I don't. I just... Sort out. Whereas... Kane... He said last week on Monday Night Football there will be a period where Kane will start looking at trophies over goals, and that's when they'll start feeling it. But the football changes all the time.
So just we're getting quite broad on this, and then the top line question as well is: do you think that's top 4 done for Arsenal this season? Do you think Europa League has to be the focus for Champions League?
They're not getting anywhere near the top 4.
Okay, good.
I'm very confident about
Ross, what are the people in the comments saying?
Peter Holmes says Spurs need to win a trophy first. Oscar Ty says the power has shifted. It doesn't mean Spurs are a bigger club. That takes time.
Yeah.
And Hassan Radwan says, which one would you sign for right now? Spurs or Arsenal?
It's an interesting one, isn't it?
I'd get a game for Arsenal.
You'd get, but you talk if you're a player looking to progress his career, you're going to get in, you're going to get a dough, and you're going to be there or thereabouts. But I mean, you're right. The Spurs winning something makes it. If the second Spurs win something, I don't think there's a debate anymore about who you choose in that regard, because they've got a vision for how to do, and they've got an identifiable brand. You know what you're being bought. Not sure the same is true at Arsenal. Question: why are people not talking about the power shift in Manchester?
They are.
It's
a fallacy. They are.
Because it's already happened.
It has.
It has.
How was it?
No. Stay. I'm not being trying to be disrespectful or be funny. But the power shift has happened because Manchester City are going to comfortably win the league this year. Power shifts, as far as I'm concerned, now.
So Leicester a bigger club than Liverpool?
No, because Liverpool are... Because this is what I'm
saying. So
this
just
is what I was
winning the
about
league
to say,
once
so I
doesn't
was
mean...
really interrupted. No, power shifts, right? You can't look in terms of power shifts being like things that happen for 5 years or 10 years. Power shifts are just... the Premier League, it's just a year. It's just a season by season. Next season, the power might move back to you if you win the league.
No, but I disagree.
No,
I
I
think
think
power
it's
shifts occur over a spell of
because
seasons.
it doesn't.
It's a tectonic plate.
No.
I
Because
know, but you're still right.
because there's too many teams involved now.
No, I think I disagree on this, and I think you are right that the power has shifted, but you're wrong that it's a season by season thing.
Yes.
Because I think it's an accumulation of power. At the top end of the Premier League, it is because Man United.
So Leicester must be bigger than United then?
No. Listen to me.
They won a league more recently than us.
Yeah, by your logic, he's right, but because that your logic plays is the Leicester has somehow
because
shifted. But sorry,
go on.
when was the last time Man United won a league title?
2013.
When was the last time Man United were in a title challenge?
2013.
Exactly. Whereas Man City have not won it every year. They are there.
But do you
they're
not
in
think
that conversation?
obviously
every
the
single
weight
season.
of the club carries a hell of a lot of
No, it
significance.
does. But don't be throwing back the arguments that Liverpool fans have been throwing at you for 20 years as though they're somehow
But
valid.
ours was in colour, Paul.
Well, it was an HD at least. The point being, though,
3D gigs and everything, man.
the point being though is that we're never gonna have the Ferguson years ever again in English football. So, and by what used to be saying, the biggest club in England is Chelsea, because they've won the league two out of the last
that's your
three.
logic.
No, that's the logic, because they've won the Premier League. What, 2 out of the last 3 years?
No, maybe.
So therefore, they are the biggest team.
No, but that, I think they're in there's a in terms of power shift.
How many league titles
The two teams most likely to win the league in any given season are City and Chelsea. That's how the power has shifted in that regard.
But I just think
you
that
can make a debate over who's on top season on
we live in a
season.
world now where everything is just going to be year after year. And you're gonna have to take. It's going to take 10 years, isn't it, to look back?
Yeah, it will. Absolutely.
Ross says, why is no one talking about Everton's power shift?
Hang on. Your name's Ross.
Yeah.
Man, what a coincidence.
What a weird thing.
What a weird thing.
It also says, is that 2 months that you bought people in the transfer window that you won?
Again, who's this person? Is this you or?
No. Comments, mate.
The comments.
Come on, knob.
Amit, who's Ams Singh on Twitter, says, which players from your teams are the most underrated and why? I want it in a name and a sentence, tops of explanation.
Underrated? I don't know if there's anyone underrated now.
I'll throw Jordan Henderson for Liverpool.
Yeah, okay.
And by that underrated, I mean there's people who hate Jordan Henderson, who think he's the worst player ever to play for Liverpool, and that's total bollocks. Liverpool play far more fluidly with him.
Underrated by your own team or underrated by your own fan base?
Choose whichever avenue
Pogba.
you want. Pogba, inside or outside?
Both.
Really?
I think he's criminally abused because of his haircuts and because of his lifestyle, which, he's a young lad that enjoys himself without going on the piss, without breaking the rules and all that lot. But that's all people talk about, how much he's on his haircuts, this, that and the other. And actually, there's an absolutely belting footballer that we're only getting 90% out of. But even if you look at what he did last year, the chances he created last year, there's an unbelievable footballer there.
Cool. Ped?
It's hard to say if anyone's underrated because there's still...
Rooney
actually is underrated from the outside world, from what he's doing at the moment, and he's underrated by a lot of Evertonians who thought we were buying this old version of Wayne Rooney, but actually we've bought a better version. Nias is probably very underrated because his goal scoring record, comparable
his goals to minutes ratio is
unbelievable.
It's like in the top 10 in the Premier League at the moment. It's ridiculous.
Gylfi Sigurdsson maybe as well, but then when you pay 45 million for
is he underrated by Allardyce?
No, he's not underrated. No one underrates Sam Allardyce. Himself, he probably underrated himself.
Okay, cool. Ross, some answers to that, or if you've got anything else you want to throw out in the last few minutes before we wrap up, please do.
Is Conte gone tonight if West Brom win?
Isn't it? Someone put a graphic out before. It's been three managers, or two or three managers. AVB.
Are they home or away?
Di Matteo.
The home.
I was going to say, maybe he just looked like the Orphans when he goes there, Abramovich, and just loses his mind.
Let's date this video horrendously, but Chelsea West Brom. Look, Chelsea will just win that game, surely.
When are they going to win? Just win last week.
Yeah. You would think. Are you going to beat Newcastle?
If they get beat tonight, he deserves to be sacked.
Okay.
Three defeats in a row.
Well, he's come out and said.
There's something about 6 months after
he's come out and said, I need to learn how to get money out of my club's owners. I see other managers and they're really good at it. I need to ask their advice on how they convince their owners to spend money. It's not something I'm good at.
It's the old Mourinho grading the eggs thing, though, isn't it?
That's the end of Conte.
I think he wants to be sacked.
Yeah.
I don't think he's not. He doesn't look happy. He's not. His family are all in Italy. He wants to go back, and he'll probably he'll either get the Juve job when Allegri leaves, or he'll get the Italy job. So.
How bad must Abramovich be at work for, though?
Yeah.
He must be horrendous, mustn't he? Can you imagine the Monday morning meetings of him?
I don't know. I think.
I mean, I've worked.
Imagine if you don't get the Monday morning meeting.
I worked under a guy in a restaurant years ago, and he'd been his own boss for too long and been too important in his own world for too long that he lived in a different sphere of consciousness, like, and the amount of stuff that he would throw on your plate, it was like you genuinely couldn't make it up. And imagine if you were like a billionaire
Russian oligarch.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the amount of stuff that people must just say yes to for out of fear or respect or whatever. How do you? Yeah,
why won't you win the league again this year?
I think the turnover's so high at Chelsea so that no one does find out where the bodies are buried.
Yeah, absolutely. Ross, have you got anything interesting for us before we wrap up?
I'm just going to move my chair over here.
What's the worst side you've watched this season?
Ooh,
Everton. Honestly,
you've been all right.
Honestly, I've watched us enough to know that we've been the worst side.
Southampton were pretty bad, to be honest. Yeah, twice we were pretty poor against them.
Brighton were pretty basic. Huddersfield, maybe.
Didn't Huddersfield beat you?
Sure, mate. Not that time.
Not that particular time, not that Huddersfield. The Huddersfield more recently, yeah.
Swansea, when we played them, were pretty poor.
Yeah, Swansea were dead good when we played them. But they were terrible
It's
when we
always
played them 2
timing in
weeks
footy,
before.
isn't it? It's always about timing. You
Yeah.
play some teams. That's why it's the league, you never know. But
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Well, listen, gents, been an absolute pleasure this week. Just want to thank every single one of you who are watching, and thank you very much for commenting and sending in your suggestions. Do let us know what you think the worst team you've seen your team played. Shift of balance of powers, underrated players in your team. And just to let everyone know, it looks like this is going to be the last episode of Social Club. It's been an amazing ride for a couple of years.
he finally caught up with me.
Finally caught up. Yeah. We started this show off, and it was just it was me, you,
Literally, the
Robbie,
social caught me on the social.
Literally, like we just started up as there was a few of us who together in the room. We fancied doing something. We fancied getting together and chatting about footy, and Ball Street let us do it, and it's been running this long. But we're having a little bit of a rethink, a bit of a revamp. We're going to come back with a much more vibrant, dynamic, exciting show that still maintains the vibe of
Have you
what
got
we've
green
been doing.
screens?
We've got CGI.
Have you got
we're actually
like
going to be
mad
CGI.
camera angles?
We're going to be
Rick and Morty?
fully computer generated for the next episode. No. So if you've got stuff you'd like to see us do, if you've got stuff you'd like to see us talk about
waxing.
on future shows on Ball Street, then let us know in the comments below. And look, if you've enjoyed Social Club the whole time that it's been on, give it one final like. Drop a like on this video. 2 more videos coming out on the channel tonight. So watch them all, love them all, watch them, share them, subscribe them. Tell your friends about the glory that was Social Club. And you know what? We'll remember it fondly, and we'll stride on amazingly into the future. Some brilliant stuff coming up on this channel. We're going to be a part of it. Cannot wait for you to see what comes next. Thanks very much for watching. See you all soon. Ta-ra.
We'll bring it back on retro.
Yeah, it'll be retro.